If you were to ask me what is the number one fear that most people that I've worked with over the years have, I would tell you unequivocally, it is the fear of failure. Now, there are volumes of books and articles and podcasts and all kinds of information out there on the web on this topic of failure, on the topic of the fear of failing. And I'm not going to make this an exhaustive video here on this topic, but what I do want to do is I want to tweak the way that maybe you're thinking about this a little bit, and maybe shine the light on something you haven't thought of before. If you were to ask me what is really underneath that fear of failure, and as I examine my own life and this fear that's dominated a lot of my life, and I've had so many in-depth conversations with my clients and people I respect on this topic, I will tell you that the underlying issue with the fear of failure is that you are putting yourself on trial. You have become the one that's on trial, and your circumstances and your results are the evidence as to whether you are or are not a failure. Here's what I mean by that. You know that you're the one on trial when anytime you have a failure, it's seen as evidence that is convicting you as guilty of being a failure. See, when you don't know what the verdict is about you being success or being a failure, then everything in your life that's happening around you serves as evidence. Either evidence proving you had a good day in business that day, then that's evidence that I am a good leader. It's evidence that I am a success, or that I do know what I'm doing, that I am adequate, that I am enough. If you have a challenging day, or a day where you just fall on your face, or a week or two or a month, or even a year that's not good in business or professionally or personally, then that serves as evidence that actually maybe I'm not enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I'm not adequate for this. Maybe I really am a failure. And so we go back and forth with this fear of what if I'm a failure, or what if I'm a success? I don't know which one it is. And so when we're facing something that is new, that we're chasing after a big goal, or maybe we're venturing into uncharted territory in our business for the first time, maybe we're just looking into the future, and the future feels scary and dark, and we don't know if we have what it takes to get past to the other side. When those things are before us, and we know we need to take action, but we're afraid because what if I fail? The fear of failure then only exists when you are the one that's on trial. When what's on the line based upon your success or failure is your identity, you will always be in a place of fearing failure. So what do we do about that? How do we handle this? What needs to change? My encouragement to you would be, what needs to change is not getting rid of the fear of failure or getting rid of those fears. What needs to change is who or what is actually on trial here. You see, when you're the one that's on trial, you have to prove that you are enough, and you have to avoid situations that would put you in a position where you would fail, because again, failure is seen as evidence that you're not enough. So my charge to you would be to stop putting yourself on trial. Why? Look, you didn't arrive. I can't go into all the details on this, but what I can do is just tell you, you have not arrived where you are today because you're a failure. That trial about whether I'm a success or a failure, that trial ended years ago. Okay, you're no longer on trial anymore. Quit putting yourself back in the courtroom, acting as if you are on trial here. You're not. You've already succeeded in so many different arenas in your life. If I asked you this question, sit down for 10 minutes and write down all of the ways you've succeeded professionally or personally in the last 15 years, 10 years, you would have a long list of things that you've succeeded at. So the question is not, are you a success or are you a failure? That has been settled. That's been settled. What's actually on trial from this moment forward, it's not you. It's your strategies. Your strategy is what you need to put on trial. Yes, you need to put something on trial, but it's not you. It's your strategies. Look back at all the successes you've had in the past. I guarantee you that, yeah, you had a lot of characteristics and skills and things that led you to those successes. You were a big part of that. But a big reason you were successful also was because you were using a successful strategy, a strategy that was leading you to success. See, here's what happens when your strategies go on trial. First and foremost, the pressure for you is off because you no longer have to prove anything. I don't have to prove to myself or anybody else that I'm a success or a failure. Therefore, I don't have to be afraid of failing. Why? Because failure is no longer evidence. Failure is an event. And when failure is an event and what's really on trial are my strategies, then anytime that I fail, all I'm doing is I'm not evaluating myself, I'm evaluating the strategy. Okay, that didn't work. Oh, what about that strategy needs tweaked? What about that strategy I need to keep? And what about that strategy needs thrown away? You see, you're not the issue here. The problem is not you, the problem is your strategies. And so anytime you find yourself in a position where you're not succeeding, you're stepping out into a new arena, it's okay. I don't have to be afraid of failing because failure doesn't have to do with me. I'm not the one that's on trial. So I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you today, this very day, as you look at your goals, as you look at the next steps you're going to take, and you feel that fear creeping up inside of you, just remember, you are not on trial. What's on trial are your strategies. If you find, it just means if you failed, it just means you haven't found the right strategy yet. So keep trying new things, tweaking the ways you're doing it now, and when you find the right strategy, then you'll succeed.